So for my new to me film for the day, I watched an absolutely dreadful movie that's set on Christmas Eve, and I was like, perfect. It was so bad though. It was so bad. I mean, I read that it was bad, so I was like prepared, but I was not prepared. I was not prepared. Nothing can prepare you for how bad this movie was. This is Nora Ephron's film, which you'd think like Nora Ephron, she's great, right? Usually. This was 1994's Mixed Nuts. It is so bad. It's based on a French farce that was a stage show and then a film in the 80s, and then now they made it into this horrible, horrible film from 1994 with like an amazing cast. So, Steve Martin, Madeline Kahn, Anthony LaPaglia, Juliette Lewis, Rob Reiner, Adam Sandler, Liev Schreiber, Gary Shandling, Rita Wilson, Parker Posey, and Jon Stewart as a bunch of rollerbladers, Jolie Fisher, Christine Canova, Stephen Wright in a very depressing one scene, but he's so good that it's like, oh well. Victor Garber with like his voice, Michael Bettalucco, and not baby, but like toddler Haley Joel Osment. It's a lot of people, and it's shot by Sven Nykvist. Got a great, like, everything going for it, right? Right? No. So it's set on Christmas Eve, and it's about a bunch of people who work at a suicide hotline, but they're all terrible people. And that's supposed to be that sort of terrible people working suicide hotline is supposed to be funny. That's the main high concept. That's not funny. Period. Maybe in the French version it's funny. I don't know. The French get away with things. It's not funny. So you're already not having a funny premise. And then you have all the shenanigans that happen, none of which are funny, including like people getting shot and, you know, domestic violence, and then jokes about how he just doesn't know how to support you, and it's like, or how he doesn't know how to express his feelings, and it's like, yes, well, waving a gun is probably not, great, but it's comedy, so it's not, you're not supposed to take it seriously. But on top of all of this like steaming pile of crap there is, Madeline Kahn is good because she's always good. She was like the only thing in it where I was like, you're so much better than this crap here, Madeline Kahn. But on top of all of this shit, right, they also have horrible, horrible transphobia. And it's like, it's 21 years ago or whatever, and so you're supposed to, things were different, but at the same time, it's like, no, they already knew what they were doing, and it was supposed to be funny, and it's not funny. It's just offensive and awful, and so this whole movie is just terrible, but then it's also, like, regarded as one of the worst movies ever made, so I guess, going in, you should just know that this is a fucking terrible film, but maybe also just don't watch it. I watched it because I'm trying to complete Nora Ephron's filmography. I have one film left, Lucky Numbers, which hopefully is not as terrible as this. It's not a great film, but it cannot be worse than this one. Nothing can be worse than this film. It's such a bad movie. To make up for how bad this movie was, everybody, here's a kitten. Isn't she cute? She was just napping, so she's mad because I lifted her from her sleep. She looks upset. So that's perfect. This movie's terrible. Don't watch it. I can't recommend it unless you're a completist, in which case I'm sorry that you're a completist like me, and then you're forced to watch terrible films by filmmakers that you enjoy. Hopefully your Christmas is better than this. I will be watching, my family tradition is to watch, hold on. Ugh. There we go. My family tradition is to watch It's a Wonderful Life on Christmas Eve. And for the last 2 years, now 3 years, I have watched it in 35mm at the Cinefamily. And although we know it's directed by Frank Capra, the screenplay was by Frank Capra, Albert Hackett, and Frances Goodrich. Frances Goodrich was married to Albert Hackett, so they wrote the screenplay. They also worked on the screenplay for The Thin Man and Father of the Bride, the classic Father of the Bride, and several other films. And so I will be watching It's a Wonderful Life because it fits in terms of screenwriting, and it's a family tradition, and I love it so much. I hope you guys have a good Christmas. I'm going to miss not being able to watch A Christmas Story tomorrow, but I've probably seen it enough to take 1 year off. But you can never see It's a Wonderful Life too many times. Watch It's a Wonderful Life. Do not watch Mixed Nuts. If you want some Christmas movies that are good and directed by women, you can watch You've Got Mail, also Nora Ephron. The Preacher's Wife, Penny Marshall. Kind of a depressing one, but good. Bridget Jones's Diary, it has some Christmas moments. And my favorite movie of all time, Little Women. Much better choices for women-directed Christmas films. I'm going to go drink some tea now and get ready for my movie, even though it's not on for another 4 hours. Merry Christmas.